Put this onto record. So welcome everybody. Oh, we've got Tony's just joining us. We'll have a few more on Jean. Little flurry. I know Barnaby's joining us shortly. Hey, so welcome everybody. What a pleasure to see you all. Always great at these quarterly events. And for those of you who's not joined us before on one of these. So
Me.
Chloe, Joel, Sabra, Naomi. Well, a big welcome. Hi, Tony. So yeah, you're going to have meet some fascinating folk today, and I'm going to share a little bit about some of the what's emerging with the collective and give you a little introduction to that. And we're going to have a conversation with both Shay and Sabre today, who very much inspired me when I interviewed them together a few months ago. So I'll say a little bit more about that. But as is maybe I think four of you that the rest of the group don't know, I'm going to be a little bit mean right now, and I'm going to just quickly say hello to you. So and I say hello to Joel over there in San Francisco, I assume.
Hi, everybody. I'm floating above the Golden Gate Bridge. Sun's coming up. Great to meet you all. I have a sort of a entrepreneurial background, and I have investments in little startups, and I have a company that I started that's in technology that I work with, and Stuart McFall and I have worked together for decades, and he introduced me to Chris. I'm also a drummer. I'm a father of two. I have a high school nonprofit in Manhattan where we help high school kids discover the giant insides that they have, which is gorgeous. And they light up the whole school when they do it. So I'm excited to be here and just happy to meet everybody.
Great. Well, lovely to meet you. I'm going to introduce, yeah, welcome, Joel. We won't go around introducing everybody because it's going to take a little
Oh,
while.
sorry
But
about that.
we'd like to welcome you, and I'd also like to welcome. Got two ladies here with MBEs. So I'd like to welcome Zoe Holland. Zoe, do you mind showing just a little snippet of who you are?
Hello, everybody. So, who am I? Oh, I'm many things. I'm a wearer of many hats. So, a busy mum of three adult kids. I run a charity for which I was very humbled to receive my MBE, amongst other stuff I've done throughout my career for charity. I am a little bit of an entrepreneur, like Joel. I'm also a lawyer. And currently, I work within a law firm group within the UK as the Chief Commercial Officer. But I do a lot of stuff around leadership and how do we bring our heart and soul into leadership and how do we really find passion and purpose? So I think that's probably what I would say.
Fantastic, lovely. Well, welcome, Zoe.
Thank you.
Uh, and on Friday, I did a really enjoyable interview with Naomi Riches and also Meta Block, who may join us, may show up. But Naomi, welcome. Yeah, we're talking about rowing and resilience, weren't we? That's,
Rowing through Resilience. It was a lovely hour spent working with you on that. I'm Naomi Richards, and I was in the Paralympic rowing team for a decade, winning 6 world titles, a bronze in Beijing and a gold in London, which sounds enormous when I say it like that. I still can't quite believe it, but you know. And now I'm an inspirational speaker and a workshop facilitator and a resilience coach. And resilience is it's in all of us, and it's at the core of my story and everything that I do. And I feel that the world needs to learn to be a bit more resilient sometimes. And if I can share some of my tips and tricks and techniques that I've used over the years, and I'm still learning with other people and help them feel more resilient and more able to tackle everything, then yeah, that's me in my happy place, really. So yeah, real pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Chris.
you're welcome. And Naomi has a record the for rowing the navigable Thames, haven't you?
Rowing the length of the navigable Thames, which is 165 miles from Lechlade to Gravesend, and I did it in a single scull because I'm registered blind and I did it just to prove that I could, and also raise some money for charity along the way. So I'm a bit mad like
That's
that.
amazing.
Your blisters must have been incredible. Oh my goodness.
They were blisters on.
Amazing.
I couldn't like uncurl my hands for ages because they had so much electrical tape and Compeed and cycling gloves. I was like came out like clawed. I got to eat a lot of food along the way, so I'm happy.
Well, I have to introduce you to my good friend Neil Lawton, who's here, who has many a world record under his belt.
Wow.
And
Yeah, but I need to know how Naomi didn't bump into a tree en route, or how did you navigate?
Because I had a whole team of amazing people in shifts who were on a support launch behind me, said left a bit, right a bit, hold it up, stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hats off.
Reliance. I think that's the thing as well. It was reliance on other people. How can you use in the nicest possible way the people around you to help you do what you want to do, but without them doing it for you.
Understood.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Great teamwork as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And Neil's doing a penny farthing adventure in Tasmania next week. Is that right, Neil?
Brilliant.
Yeah, a big festival of racing and riding in northern Tasmania. Unbelievably, they have an annual festival, a national championships.
What will
So I
you
shall
be
be, I
doing?
think, the sole UK representative in Australia / Tasmania next week.
That's amazing.
Wow.
How will you be racing? Are you running, rowing, riding?
Yeah, penny farthing, the Victorian bicycle. So races,
Bicycle.
long, short, cross country, all sorts.
Wow.
Amazing. And Neil's you're buying a marina because Neil has a floating home company. That's the latest venture.
We have those in Sausalito, Neil. Sausalito, California has a whole neighborhood of floating houses.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd like to see them one day.
Yeah.
So does Seattle.
mhm.
Mm.
Fantastic. And so I'm also going to introduce I'll introduce
So is
Sabre
Vancouver.
a little bit later. So we'll focus in on you shortly. Is there anybody else that's new that I've missed out on? I think that's everybody. Or Sharon also has a world record for the most consecutive half marathons, haven't you? It was 100 and something, Sharon? Was that in 102 in 102 days? So we've got a few amazing people amongst us. So lovely, and hello, Kathy. I've and also Molly from Kenya at the moment, because Molly has a charity called Global Angels, and some of us are visiting Molly in May to help. So which is going to be really exciting, and see the venture. So before I introduce you to Sabra and to Shay, I'd just like to take the opportunity to share a little bit about the collective and where we're evolving, because there's been a lot of thinking since Christmas and a lot of evolution. So I just want to start, and particularly for those who are new today, but I'd like you all just to imagine a world where, as members of this community, we not only live a good life of worthy consideration, but we also amplify what each of us are doing for the benefit of the world, because everyone here is doing incredible work. I believe that, when the collective is really working at full force, will contribute to the world seeming to overflow with good. I envisage, this community is full of wise people, and we've come together to create a wholeness today, because there's a lot of separation in the world, and there's a lot of isolation. Some of that's generated by focus on profit and winning at all cost. And I kind of see the community becoming an immune response to the shadow that seems to be pervading across the globe in many areas of life. And people here are doing amazing pieces of work and activity. Whether it's coaching and its transformation, or whether it's Barnaby's not here right now, which is surprising to me, but Barnaby's working on becoming a white ally. Tony, let's have a little moment with Tony. And Tony has your movie has been
Amazing.
Given the go ahead, the green light in the States and the UK. I don't know if you could turn your. So Tony, do you just want to give us just a 30-second, minute summary of what what this movie is about and who you are? This is an incredible story, everybody.
Yeah, I spent 15 years in the white supremacist and neo-Nazi movements in a leadership position in the 80s and 90s. I left that all behind. Probably spent 1,000 hours of one-on-one and group counseling. 2010, I founded an organization called Life After Hate to help people leave those groups behind. I was there for a decade. In 2018, I did a visit to Auschwitz in a journey of atonement, amongst other things. And we filmed that visit, and I think it premiered in the festival circuit 2 years ago, a film called The Cure for Hate, Bearing Witness to Auschwitz. And we look at, when I spoke a couple of times at the Museum of Tolerance, what the organizer there said to me, it's the darndest thing. We have this diminishing number of Holocaust survivors to tell their story, and soon there'll be none left. And, they're very special to us, but young people would rather hear from you than a Holocaust survivor. They get more excited about someone like you. So with that in mind, and the fact that 66% of millennials in the States cannot say what Auschwitz was if you ask them cold, we decided to use my story as the platform to tell the story of Auschwitz to make it relevant to young people today. And that's what we did. We built a curriculum around it for high school students that tackles identity, masculinity, othering, dehumanization, a number of things. We took it to 45 high schools and 6,100 students, and we're scheduled to do 40 days of high schools this year. But in the US, it will be on PBS, probably starting in different areas April. And I know that PBS America UK has licensed it. So at some point after April, it will air in the UK, and I can let you know when that happens.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing work, an incredible story. I think every school should get and school child should get to see this video. It's incredible. So the only person I haven't said hello to is Libby as well. So hi Libby, lovely to see you. So I also just want to say, where I would say this is the year where we get serious about what we're about. I was over Christmas. I entered Christmas, and some of you heard this story, but I entered Christmas with lots of lovely feedback around the community. We had an amazing third circle joined us with people like Shay and Molly who are here, and Stuart. And we also had an amazing event in coming together. We had lots of quarterly events and annual monthly events, and a lovely feel and vibe. But I was frustrated. I really didn't, and I know when I'm frustrated, I don't know if you feel this, but frustration often precedes clarity. So I knew I was missing some clarity about what we were about. And I started to write some strategy, and then I reached out to Barnaby. And Barnaby had a chat, and Barnaby said, Chris, what you're about is amplifying good. And when he shared that and suggested that maybe that could become a focus for us, suddenly my frustration started to ebb away and my energy started to flow through. And I got really excited about this idea. So I met up with Barnaby last week for a day. We're meeting again next week, working on planning, because I'd written a 3-year plan. Barnaby encouraged me to actually go from an end point. And he said, how long do you envisage yourself being involved with this community? And I said, well, I kind of imagine myself staggering onto a stage one day when I'm about 90. And he said, Chris, why would you be staggering? So, okay. and thinking from that perspective and looking back, I started to see a much bigger potential for this. I won't share everything today because it's still kind of work in progress. I also had a great session with Stuart. Steve's been very helpful with me and had engaging sessions around this in the past. but I'm really excited about what we could come. And I think what will materialize this year is not just progress, but a solid foundation to accelerate this community and amplify some of the good. We've already shared some of the good that you're doing. Some of these stories need to be told to the world. And if you think about an amplifier, takes a weak electrical signal, and I would say some of my work's been, not been as largely amplified as it could be. And what it does is it creates a much stronger signal and a much stronger reach. So we've really looked at this area of amplification as being really interesting. So this year, I think what's becoming, I think we will evolve into, a more high reach movement. And I use the word reach a bit more than impact, because I think of impact and I think of Trump's tariffs and I think of bombs falling in the Ukraine and things like that. But I think reach, we're still all about elevation, because we've all got to elevate and step up. I see Jean has talked to us and Wendy about 10x, about evolving, through stages of evolution. So we need to keep doing that. But if we can also amplify what we're doing together, we've got a great reach if we come together. But I see, some of my responsibility in the community of helping to build that reach. I think so. We'll focus more on reach, I think, this year than we've maybe done before. I think we'll develop a compelling value proposition to attract both members. And ultimately, I'd love to be in a situation where we can attract some funding and some sponsorship from the right people. So we're shifting from informal inspiration and support to a bit more structured action, but without losing our oh, here he is, actually. We've been talking about him. I'll just wait for Barnaby to join us. He's going to have all eyes on him when he joins. Barnaby.
Hello.
Hello. We're just talking about you right now.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My dog was returned from the dog sitter, so I have to sort her out. So, hello, everyone.
So I've actually been sharing at the moment, Barnaby, our journey. I will do in a moment. Yeah. We've been sharing our journey of how we got to where we got to. And in case I've said anything in line with what we said last week, by you not being here, I won't get into trouble, so that's good. But what I was saying is that what we're becoming is evolving into, a high reach movement. We're gonna elevate ourselves, but also, incubate probably some ideas and amplify the good that we're doing. I think we're gonna develop a compelling value proposition to attract both members and ultimately funding. And I'm thinking about how could that be? Could that be not for profit? Could that be, how that work? And I think some of the things that we can do together this year is we could, create a charter around our commitment, a membership directory so we know who we are, ways of communicating better between ourselves. We can start to evolve our platforms. I'd love to make my podcast Elevation Collective and You focused. So that's really interesting in terms of its evolution. We're going to communicate good news and work out how to do that. And I see a longer journey ahead. I'm not going to share all of that, but I'm really excited about this year. And I think, if we do this right, our reach will leave us all, we'll feel like goodies overflowing, and we'll all have a feeling that we're doing our best. So I hope this year will be one where, we look back on it at the end of this time next year and think we came a long way, and actually it was a brilliant journey. We kept that intimacy, that love that we all have, that brilliant connection, but actually maybe we also started to amplify our reach as well. So that's just a few words on where we're going. So I hope that resonates with some of you. Okay. So what we're going to do a bit later, we'll have some time to all split into groups and have a chat. But what I wanted to do, I don't know if anyone got a burning question actually anybody got a burning question, or does that kind of make sense? We've chatted to it in our monthly events. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to welcome Shay and also Sabre. I'm going to just pass at the moment the ability to Ruth to be able to become a host and make all of this happen technically. So Ruth, I can't remember how to make you a host. So I'm going to, I know how to make you a host. Have a look down the list. There she is. More. I'll make a code. See if that works. Make you a co-host. And I want to introduce Shay and Sabre to you. You know, there's all sorts of things we could talk about in this session today. But when I interviewed Shay and Sabre a few months ago, I thought what a beautiful combination of people, and a kind of lovely story. And I saw how two people. I mean, I love the fact that Shay's business is very sustainable, and that's important and contributing to women. But I was also really inspired by the collaboration between Sabre and Shay, and also as you'll discover, you know, Sabre is a young person, younger than many of us here. Her articulateness, and I thought, crikey, the future's in good hands when I interviewed them both together. And I just thought there were some lovely messages, you know, about togetherness, about how collaboration can be done in a beautiful way, about how we should all maybe mentor somebody who's you know, younger than ourselves, because there's a lovely mentorship. And I just saw in this relationship a beautiful give and take between Shay and Sabre. So I wanted to introduce them both to you today, and do a little interview with them. You'll also, if you've got questions, please drop them in the chat box. But let me introduce Shay and Sabre to you. I'll start with Shay. Shay describes herself as a veteran of the professional beauty industry. Veteran, I don't believe that. With although actually more than 37 years of professional beauty experience. So maybe that is a little, oh my gosh, every year you look at your bio, don't you? I look at mine, it's like 34, 35. You keep adding the years on. She's currently the CEO and owner of Privé Products. Prior to Privé, Shay held senior leadership positions across the industry, including Sebastian International, Wella International, Alterna Healthcare, Cezanne Hair. And her experience spans lots of different channels of distribution, sales leadership, and all sorts of cross functions in the US and internationally. And she's dedicated to making Privé a force for good. She brings that vision into three pillars: empower women as a women-led company, make a strong social impact by giving a percentage of all revenue to a non-profit to help women in need. And she also produces clean and natural hair care or products that are good for you and also good for the planet. And then Sabre is our first professional racing driver that we've had on this and the collective. So welcome, Sabre.
Thank you.
And I think probably one of the best female racing drivers in the world right now. I'm sure. She's also a mechanical engineer, originally from Grand Junction in Colorado. She now resides in Indianapolis, and she progressed from being a successful professional karting career, 14 championships, into car racing in 2017. And she's raced in a broad spectrum of different series. They don't mean a lot to me. Some of them. SCCA, Road to Indy, Formula 4, Formula 3, W Series, NLS, Porsche Sprint Challenge, and now Porsche Carrera Cup, North America. Sabre's also earned a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and has gone on to work for companies like Nissan, Infiniti, Global, Renault Formula One team, Formula Mazda, and Paretta Autosport in IndyCar. So pretty cool. So big welcome, Sabre.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I want to say I feel really honored and blessed. There's so many incredible people on this call right now, and I'm like kind of buzzing the fact that I'm even in this Zoom call right now. So it's really great to meet all of you.
Lovely to see you. Well, welcome. So let me start with you, Shay. So Shay's a member of the collective community and joined our third circle last year, which was been brilliant to have her, actually. And you came over to the UK as well, didn't you?
Wonderful.
So it's been absolutely great to have you in the collective and get to know you. But maybe tell us a little bit about Privé and tell us why you set it up. You know, what does it What does it offer? Why is sustainability important to you? Tell us a bit about it.
Well, first, I want to say it's such a treat to be here with all these other incredible humans. I feel exactly the same way you do, Sabre. I pinch myself all the time because I have a little bit of imposter syndrome myself, even if I've got almost 40 years of experience. But it's such an honor to be here. So thank you, Chris and Sabre. I've seen in my 37 plus years, I've had so many opportunities to see so many different things in my career. And I have so many great insights to how and why not a brand might be successful. So after 3 decades, which seems incredible to say that, to your point, I felt it was time to take everything that I'd seen and what I'd learned and really pour it into something really deeply meaningful to me. So I wanted to create more than just a great hair care brand. I really wanted to create a brand that really mirrored and matched my personal values, which is really how the brand was born. And I launched the brand in 2019. So right before I shipped my first batch of products, the pandemic hit. So I'm in an incredible place right now, and especially my partnership with Sabre has so much meaning. But I really one of my core values was to really have a company and a brand that was more purpose over profit. And I feel like my journey's been consisted of passion, persistence, and purpose. And for me, launching Privé and having Privé as a hair care brand that really speaks to the heart, and having a brand that I've been able to make that has clean, pure, good ingredients and not using any kind of harsh chemicals to make the product. And at the end of the day, have a brand that really speaks to results. And for those that use it, you can see it in actual results in one use. So to Chris's point, it has become a part of my life where it's really about purpose in this brand. And I've always been really passionate in my career as a female, aligned with a lot of in more of a male dominated space with the positions I've led. And I've always had an incredible part of my heart to be able to empower and mentor, and especially females, and really leading by example and showing that anyone that anything is possible. And so through my journey with Privé and launching this incredible, gorgeous brand that is sustainable, from my packaging using sugarcane as my tube so that it's sustainable, using ethical practices and making my brand, of course, not testing on animals, clean ingredients. And then the other part, to Chris's point with the brand, is a big part of my branding has been my passion to empower women. And how lucky am I that I've been able to, my personal passions of my life, which is motorsports and driving a race car, have collided with my life work, which is beauty. And so the two have met in a place in my life that I never would have thought would have happened. And this is where my partnership with Sabre has been so meaningful, and we're so passionate and we're having so much fun, and we're creating a big stir on so many different levels because of, I'm how lucky am I that I get to partner with this trailblazing, incredibly successful, talented, not only is she talented in her profession, she's really, really smart. And I admire her for her grit and her tenacity and perseverance to get a college education. A lot of race car drivers don't do that. They go straight from karting to following their passion, but not doing the work in between. And so for me, my brand is so aligned with the values of what my brand is about. And it's more than just being a cheerleader for Sabre. It's about the message, and it's about the story, and it's about what we're accomplishing together. So it's been so much fun, and I'm so grateful.
Before we meet Sabre, can I just also share something that you share something, Shay, that really opened my eyes, because I'd not considered before, or felt concerned before about what I put on my hair or put on my skin. And what you opened up to me, and I think probably to people within the community, that actually we might be putting a lot of dangerous products on our skin. Can you just share a little bit about that? Because I think that might be helpful to people.
Well, it's really easy to make a product to have a gigantic profit margin. And I say that with all the experience that I've seen and experienced in my career. And usually companies just, again, it's all about profit first. So the very cheap synthetic chemically based ingredients are very cheap, and it makes a product, it gives a product huge profit margins. So the majority of the products that that are out in the market, and things are changing. I'm proud to be a trendsetter because I know that I'm changing that philosophy in self-care and products that we use, but so many products that we use on our body. And if you think about it, our skin is our biggest organ that we have. And to think that we're using chemically synthetic type ingredients that go right into our bloodstream have an impact on our health. And we know of all the things that are impacting our health today. And there's lots of different aspects of that. But this is a big contributor to what we surround ourselves with and what we put on our bodies. So making a brand that is clean and the ingredients are clean, food grade type ingredients, which I'm very passionate about, and whatever I put inside my body, why would I want to put the same thing on my skin, which goes directly into my body? So it's very important.
You made me think about my brother, my lovely brother, who was very frustrated with his wife when he was talking to me a few months ago. And he said, "Look, she spends £15 on a body soap," and he said, "Look at this. This is what I have. 56 pence." He said.
That's hilarious.
It would be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Which ones, what's in, be able to analyze what's in both those products. I've never really considered that before. So what is it that you love about racing cars, Shay? Because you have your own Porsche racing car, don't you?
There's two things.
Time.
Yes, I do. There are two things that are really huge for me. One is the addiction, and it sounds crazy, the addiction to lateral acceleration is tremendous. It's not about how fast you can go in a straight line. It's about how it feels in the turns. And piloting a race car is like an electrifying fusion of precision power and pure adrenaline. There's nothing that can take the place of that feeling that you get. And the third thing for me that is so critical is when I get into that race car, it is 100% focus on one thing only, and that is piloting that car and driving that car. If you're thinking about anything else, if it's stresses, if it's work, if it's life, if it's family, you're not driving that car. The amount of the amount of focus is absolutely incredible when you're at the helm and at the wheel of a race car and what it takes. And Sabre knows this. If you're at all time focused, your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. That's a fact. That's science. And if you're trying to think or focus and work on something else, you will never become an accomplished, really good race car driver.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the three things that I absolutely love. It's so hard. It's so challenging. You don't want to stop. You want to continue doing it. It's a challenge against yourself and how you can precisely drive that machine to its full.
Amazing. A friend of mine, Billy Schwer, who became a world champion boxer, said to me, "Chris, do you realize how brutal it is to be in the ring and to be fighting at that level, but also a racing car?" You described it, and maybe Sabre, you can answer this. A racing car is a brutal environment as well. I've not experienced going the pace that you have in a car, but so what do you love about being in a brutal machine like that?
Well, yeah, it can be a bit brutal. It definitely opens you up to get a lot of injuries, but that comes with the sport. But I'm willing to accept that because the reason why I love racing is I love competition. I'm a competitive person, so that's a natural part for me. But when you have a race with someone and you're just literally inches, centimeters from each other, and you're both like having like such a hard fought. It's like a chess match at speed. You're like, how can I take an advantage, and planning like several corners or laps ahead. And it's just like this combination of a lot of like things that I really love in life and I'm passionate about, which is like business and engineering, and then competition, racing, athletics. It all comes together, and it's all just like this one beautiful thing that gets created. And I really like to be challenged. I like to do hard things, and racing is so hard because it challenges me in like so many different ways versus just physically. It challenges me emotionally. It challenges me in business. It challenges me to become a better speaker, a better brand representative. It makes me have to learn so many different things. And like so many of you mentioned, wear so many different hats, that if I was involved in more of a traditional space, I feel like I wouldn't get the chance to learn so fast and so quickly and become my best self as fast as I would if I wasn't in motorsports.
And how's it? Tell us how it feels to beat men in a racing car. You told me a lovely story. I asked you that question. You told me a story about when you I think you were maybe karting and people got a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, it feels pretty dang good, but it feels good to just to win, period, right? But it does, I guess, it does have like a special feeling when you are, in a traditionally male dominated space, and when you are able to put all the pieces together, create a great team effort, and you're able to achieve that success. And just showing like, hey, the car doesn't know whether you're a man or a woman. It just knows who can drive it the best and who can take advantage of most of the opportunities. And so I think that's where the joy comes from. Is yes, it feels good to beat someone, but mostly I think like when you come up and show that, hey, as a woman, I can do this if I have the right resources and the right people behind me, just like anybody else. And I think that's something really special. And then you also get to see so many young people that you inspire to then pursue it themselves. And that I think is also a really, really special part of winning.
I can see how that can be really empowering for women. And while we're talking about empowering women, Libby asked a question. Can you share, Shay, about why providing women with personal care products helps to empower them?
So the one thing that I didn't talk about, which is another part of my core mission, and one of my taglines at Purvey Products is beauty is kindness. And part of the beauty is kindness rally cry is I give back 1% to every dollar we make to a nonprofit called Project Beauty Share, which I think is kind of how, Chris, you and I first started, you and I connected, was of the good that I was doing. And that was one other piece of that really rolls up into my sponsorship with Sabra at Purvey, was when I established and launched my brand, I knew that I wanted to connect with a social cause. And I knew that I believe that as a business owner, it is our responsibility as business owners is to give back and to help make our world a better place, which is really how Chris and I connected. So back to that piece is I give 1% back to every dollar that I make at Purvey to a nonprofit called Project Beauty Share. And Project Beauty Share is basically like, if you look at the food bank, I'm going to say specifically in the US, people that need assistance are able to purchase products, food, but they aren't able to purchase any sort of hygiene because hygiene is taxed. So that could be a bottle of shampoo, that could be a bar of soap, that could be anything that's going to make one, feel whole and help get their integrity back based on going through hard times or getting their feet back on their, back into life. So for me, I found this nonprofit that I felt like was such an incredible match to help empower women to help rebuild their integrity and get their life back. And we don't even think about how, feeling clean makes you feel sexy. It makes you feel beautiful. It makes you feel worthy. It makes you feel all these things. And we take all that for granted because for us, women who have the means to have all of the traditional hygiene products, we don't think about that. And a lot of those women will never have access to any of those products. And this is crazy, you guys. The average female uses 42 products a morning to get ready. That is the average number of products she will use. That could be feminine hygiene, that could be self-care, that could be shampoo, that could be styling products, a bar of soap, that could be cosmetics. It could be anything that she uses. And I know that it was a huge impact when I had the opportunity to meet with this nonprofit to look at their work and see what they do. And of course, then they took me to a couple of the shelters, and that forever has changed my life after what I experienced and saw that it could be someone like me that fell on hard times, that one thing happened, that whole domino effect. So I'm very passionate about the nonprofit work. In fact, I'm going to the Galentine's event. One of their fundraisers actually this Thursday, and it's in Eastern Washington. So it's a big part of what we do at Privé to support our campaign with Beauty is Kindness.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for the question, Libby. Great question. So how did you and Sabre meet? And how did this partnership between the two of you? And I see Privé on Sabre's car behind in her image. So there we go.
All over her car.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
So proud to be one of her main sponsors. I love it.
Yeah. So how did you meet?
We first met, I think social, it's going to sound funny. We met online through social media because Shay had been posting some Porsche, I think, videos or photos, and it came up in my feed, and I was like, oh, what's this? Like, it's not every day you see a woman posting about how much she loves cars and race cars. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I just kind of like checked out her page and liked what she posted. And then I saw she was engaging with a lot of other people in the motorsport space. And so then I think we ended up following each other, and just kind of engaged with each other online. And then we finally met in person at the Women with Drive Summit that happens every year. And where were we? North Carolina.
Charlotte. So, but what we really met though is we both were in this virtual meetup group during the pandemic called Women Shifting Gears. And then we're also on this podcast of this kind of infamous, famous female who's a broadcaster for the different motorsports. And we had connected and we both had a story to share. Sabre's story with her incredibly decorated career of racing, and my passion for motorsports and owning a brand. So we both were on this podcast together, not obviously at the same time, but on this virtual. And then we finally met face to face. And I think the rest is history. And I remember thinking when I met her, I said, oh, I really want to support her and I really want to work with her. And she's like the perfect partner for me. And I started like this, like, oh, can I just put my name inside of your helmet inside, there's a little spongy thing around inside the helmet. So we started, like any great relationship, it started small and now we're completely full in working together, which is pretty awesome.
And Sabre, how have you found working with Shay? How have you benefited from that relationship?
Well, in so many different ways. I think obviously from the partnership side, that's been instrumental for me to continue in my racing career. But on a more like personal mentorship level, it's been absolutely invaluable because it's maybe not totally common knowledge, but as a racing driver, essentially you create your own business. Like I have my own LLC that I run out of, and then you run like a small business. And that means I have a lot of things I have to learn how to do and a lot of difficult situations I have to learn how to navigate. But I don't have a boss that tells me how to do it. So it's been really, really helpful to have Shay, who has so much experience in the business world and dealing with difficult situations. And I feel like I've had other mentors as well. And like, I really appreciate all that they've given, but for Shay she's such a good human, right? So like it's such a authentic place that she comes from. So sometimes it just really connects for me and helps give me confidence in how to deal with situations based off like her advice and how she recommends to deal with things. So that's not normal. All my partners, we don't have that sort of relationship. It's just like this special thing that Shay and I have, because she wants to see the best for me and I want to see the best for her and Privé. And it's just been incredibly lucky that I got a mentor and a friend out of it.
Wonderful. And Shay, how have you? What have you learned from Sabre actually? What have been the value of the relationship from your perspective?
Well, I absolutely love having somebody like Sabra with her age to be aligned with, because I think that the one thing that I've always felt very passionate about is as things change and we evolve and we get older and the generations might be unique, and people, a lot of people, which drives me nutty, is to put somebody in a box because they're millennial or they're Gen X or they're Gen Z. And I think that one of the greatest values of partnering with Sabra is, it gives you a different lens, and it gives you you can look at things differently and have somebody that's working with you closely to I think it's important to stay current. I'm a huge advocate of staying current on lots of levels in my life. If it's pop culture, if it's movies, if it's anything, it's just I see people getting older and they get old and they expire. And
Jay is very hip, by the way. The first time I met her, she was dressed so cute. I was like, dang, she's what I want to be. Like she's very hip, very updated on all the trends.
Well, it's the partnership that we have together is I like to think of it's greater than the sum of its parts, because I think that there's so many halo and overarching effect and impact of the story that Sabra and I represent and the message that we can portray. And I'm so passionate to show that all the future generations of the young girls and the women, that no matter what your dream is, be bold and be unapologetic about following your dreams and being fearless. So there's so many aspects of my partnership with Sabra that are hard to even parse in what it would look like and put it in a box. But it feels like now we're on year solid. We started about 2.5 years ago, but this is our year. I feel like this is, I like to say, and I wish Mike Mooney was on this call with us, because for those of you who don't know, I'm also working with Mike, which has been an incredible journey to connect all the dots and create my messaging with my passion with Sabra and the motorsports and Privé and the brand. But he always uses this word, and I love it. We have so much gravity right now, and this is going to be such a good year for both Sabra and I. My brand, her brand, we're building our brands together, and a super exciting time.
And we should say Mike was due to join us today, but he's working with the US military today, and they wouldn't let him join us. So
love him.
Yeah, he's good. You became you knew of Mike, didn't you, before the collective? But you met Mike, you deepened the relationship through the collective.
Well, ironically, what a small world this is, and this is not going to surprise anybody on this call. He was a keynote at the Women with Drive Summit that I met Sabra at in North Carolina, which is where he lives. And he was a keynote, and he had a great presentation. And of course, I bought his book, and I just had this immediate connection to him. Our energies are very aligned, and we just get along. We just have such a great time working together.
Yeah. So it's been lovely that you've got to know each other, and I think you've helped him with his daughter doing some work with you.
Yes.
So
I've mentored his daughter too, who's also she's a junior in college, and that's been a lot of fun. So it's awesome.
Yeah. So
hey, Chris, can I say something?
Yeah, please do.
Sorry, so sorry I have to go, but I just want to. I'm loving you guys so much. The theme of connection and 1 + 1 = so much. Like you have the generations, you have you have cosmetics and racing, which is these two different types of the human experience coming together in such a cool way. And I think like as a theme, the way that Shay is sort of connected out to Sabra, and then Sabra's now part of this, is like such a great sort of framework for this collective. I know I'm new here, but I can see like the benefit of the connections out to different types of things. And you two together just awesome. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for those wonderful words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Joel. And I'll be reaching out to you to book a meeting for you and Veronica and I to have a look at your project in New York with you. You want to,
okay, I just had this mapped wrong. I really want to stay for the next hour, but I have to go. But just rock and roll, you two.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I can't wait to connect with you again, Joel.
Me too. Okay.
See you guys.
Yeah. I think this is something as well. I'm excited about the potential of the collaborations that we're all going to need through the collective community with our different initiatives. And I'm thinking of the potential for Judy with her Conscious Cafe, and there's John now who's developing his work around John Jennings around sustainability and the environment, and Barnaby with his White Allyship program, and Hillary with her very amazing work she does around deep coaching. There is so much for Gene with his 10X. I think there's so many opportunities potentially for us to collaborate with others. I think everybody here will have, probably thinking, how do I, expand my work? Have we lost Shay? How did that happen? Okay.
Sorry, I'll bring them back.
That's okay. You're going to come back. Everybody here will have the opportunity to collaborate with others. What do you think, Shay and Sabra, if you think about collaboration, if you had any tips that you could give us on making a collaboration really work beautifully like yours does, what might they be? And I know I've not prepared you for this question, but any thoughts?
I don't know. Go ahead, Sabra.
I don't know. I mean, I guess like I've gone through a lot of challenging experiences in the last few years, and trying to analyze where those relationships, like how they could have been better, and what the differences between those and mine with Shay. And I think part of it is we're incredibly like open and honest with each other, and we're highly like communicative. So like we always make sure we're on the same page. But I think it's part of it is sometimes I feel like it can't be forced based off my past experiences. I know I'm like young and I have so much more to learn, but it's like knowing who aligns with your values and kind of leaning into that and building those relationships out instead of someone that isn't as authentic with you.
Yeah. I think what I love about this is I think it's the way we have tried to communicate or coordinate the collective with having people with similar values, being wise but also being heart-led, and caring about integrity and kindness. So actually here that everybody's got your back.
That's that right there. I know Shay has my back, and I know she cares about me, and she wants the best for us, and I think that's really important too.
Yeah. I know Steve's got to leave. Thank you, Steve. Shay, any thoughts from you?
You know what? I think the first is the authenticity is huge, and I think that's what that has always it's never failed me, and that's kind of been a kind of a value that I've always held very close to my heart in life on every level. But racing, for me to see what Sabra's gone through as a racing driver, and I really had no idea how hard it is. And I've also seen, and she probably is not going to like that I'm going to say this, but I think being a female in some ways has made it harder. And being a female, I understand. And so I think, and you know this, Chris, because you and I have had conversations about my true heartfelt passion to help and support her, to help her be successful. It's just really hard. So for me, and the place that I am in my life and what I've seen, I feel like it's almost like an opportunity for me to really help and support and align with somebody that can use that. And so, and it's easy for me because I'm passionate about the lane she's in, because I love motorsports racing. I love the car she's racing. I love the brand that she represents. So it's been a natural transition in that way. But I see her struggle, and having been through a lot of struggles in my career, they're very similar. I mean, either it's on the racetrack or in the boardroom, it's no different. They're so aligned, and it seems like the two are so worlds apart, but they're really not. They're very, very aligned. So it's been fun for me to pivot and to have different conversations, but at the end, the conversations are very similar. If I'm, working in a traditional format in a company, or working with Sabra to help her guide through the obstacles, it's not any different.
Yeah, he's not here at the moment, John Starver, but John has a book about servant leadership, and about our life being a series of problems. And actually we have to realize that and accept that life is going to be a series of problems, and that we have to navigate, and we need to seek counsel from people who can help us with those issues. Accept that we're not going to have a smooth ride, and learn from those issues. But on the back end of that, there's a silver lining. What have been the biggest issues for you, Sabra, that you've had to overcome to get to where you are right now with your motor racing?
Well, motorsports is unfortunately not like traditional sports. It's not cheap, and it is money plays such a massive factor in the opportunities you get and the places you get to race in, and the way that you can prepare. Like, basically the best analogy I can give is, imagine trying to play professional basketball, but you can't afford enough to rent the court and rent the basketball to practice, and you're playing against other players that have the money to rent the basketball and the court. So I think that's the hardest barrier, whether you're male or female. But then, yes, I mean, being honest and transparent, it is sometimes it's all hard, but there are different challenges when you're a woman, and there's not always a roadmap or a blueprint on how to deal with them, because there's not many of us in the space. So it's I think that is always hard, is knowing how much to stand up for yourself, and when to how and when to stand up for yourself and set boundaries. Yeah, I think that's been challenging.
Can I add something, Chris? I love it because my team at Privé calls Sabra and I, which we've kind of coined it, we're using it for marketing, it's a lot of fun, is the power couple. So we have a landing page at Privé, which is a story about me and a story about her, and how beauty and the brand and motorsports, and we're making it very clear that we are sponsoring women in motorsports. But one of the things I want to share, which I think is what really connected and really solidified our partnership, our friendship, our passion, our commitment to each other, was when I learned Sabra's struggle with, on a financial aspect of, I need to practice, I need more seat time. And to Sabra's point, with her not being able to practice, and that's where we really bonded, is when I also own a race car, which is what she's racing. And that's what I race at a whole different level, but I'm racing it too. So I have a playground where we run the race car. And part of the charity work I do for Project Beauty Sharers, I'm a part of their annual fundraiser, and we auction off an experience to come to where we run the car, and they get to ride in a race car, which most people don't get to do in their lifetime. And I'm proud to tell you, we raised $20,000 to do this. It's just very rewarding. So, which is another part of my conversation. But going back to Sabra, is I said, okay, Sabra, I said, how would you feel? Do you want to come? And do you want to we call it testing, which is practicing. Do you want to test in my race car? And that's where it started. And I saw how much it helped her, because practice is everything. You can't be an amazing basketball player and not practice free throws. We know that. That's how you win. That's a part of being an athlete.
Although based on some of their averages, I question how much they practice free throws sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So Sabra part of our partnership is Sabra comes, and she's going to come at the end of February, spend a day and a half in my car, and she'll practice, which is going to help her.
Amazing. if anyone's got a question that you'd like to ask, then do put it in the box. But we'll give we can also in the chat box. We can also have you back a little bit later on. But do you kind of have like a final message that you'd like to leave us with?
I guess, well, you guys are all so successful in all of your fields. I would say the biggest way that you can affect change, because Chris started talking about having a more structured action for the group, would maybe be finding someone like me, but in your spaces that you feel like you could share a lot of the lessons you've learned over your years and make them more prepared to deal with the challenges that they inevitably will experience that you also went through. I think that would be a great way to help my generation, because I know some of us are a bit off their rockers right now. But if you could reach out to someone that you think you would really benefit by mentoring, we would appreciate it.
I think that's a really, really, really great point. And I would say in my life, one of the most rewarding things I've done for probably the last nearly 10 years now is supported a young person, a blind Asian female speaker, and it's been incredible. She refers to me sometimes as a second dad, and it's amazingly she just turned 40, so she's not that young anymore. But it has been really rewarding. So I would say to everybody, find somebody young that's not your own children, because they don't listen to you, from my experience. Find them somebody else who's a bit more useful to them. But find somebody, identify someone who comes to you, who you can give the gift of some of your time, because it is, on a free basis, because it is really, really rewarding. Shay, anything from you?
Yes, I think what's interesting about my about my partnership with Sabre, it feels very aligned to this group here, but I feel like ultimately my partnership with Sabre really has deepened just the whole mentorship and community aspect of what I'm doing. And I believe that and it's kind of a cliche, but I think that it's true. I believe in it. I believe when the tide is up, all ships rise. And I feel like it's my duty as a strong, successful female entrepreneur to do the same for other women like Sabra and it could be a male too. But because of what I've seen in my career and how I've been more in a male-dominated space, I've naturally gravitated towards that. And the motorsports space is definitely 99.9% male. So she's very unique. I'm unique. I'm the only female on track, and everyone thinks it's my husband driving our race car, and it's me. They're like, what? There's a chick driving that car? Holy shit, she's fast. I love hearing that. That makes me puts a smile on my face. But I feel like it's my duty to support and lead by example and show that anything is possible, no matter how crazy your dream might be.
Amazing. Thank you. And I'm sure Sabre, if anyone knows other people who might want to help you, and in terms of the brand, it costs a lot of money to do what you do. But you get a sense of Sabre's wonderful personality here. So reach out if anyone else can help Sabre. And Sabre, you've got a fantastic website, haven't you? It's amazing with images and pictures of you driving quickly, I think. Is that Sabrecook? Is it .com?
Yeah, sabrecookracing.com.
Racing.com. And excellent. Shay, we can find out more about Privé Products and you where?
At privéproducts.com.
Fantastic. Hey, well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both. And what we'll do now is we'll go into always an opportunity here to go into some in groups and have some conversation. So we'll do that in just a moment. But thank you. It's wonderful to know you both, and I'm excited at the thought of one day maybe sitting in a racing car with you. But it may.
No, we're gonna do that. Anybody who wants to come, we're gonna plan a collective event at the Thermal Club. We're gonna do that. I would love to do that.
Sounds cool. We get some exciting opportunities, don't we? So brilliant. So thank you, Ruth. Could you take the spotlights off and bring us back into the space. Lovely.
I'm going to content spotlight you now.
Excellent. Yeah, take me off. Thank you. Oh, I hate looking at myself in a big screen. There's once upon a time when I'd enjoy looking at myself in the mirror. Now I go past fairly quickly. I don't know if anyone else can share that experience, but
you look great, Chris.
Thank you. So what we'll do now is I'm not sure how many of us are, 8, 6, we've probably got about 20 of us, something like that. So maybe we could split into 3 groups shortly. And I think what it would be great to do is just to maybe share succinctly with each other maybe what what amplifying good means for you now, and maybe what are the biggest challenges you face when amplifying what you're doing. And if you've also got any questions for Sabre and for Shay and myself at the end of this call, then we can get together and do that. But great opportunity to spend a little time with each other now. What we tend to do in the collective, we spend time in our respective circles. It's lovely. These are a great opportunity for us to mix a little bit more. So Ruth will put you all into a group now of maybe 6 or 7 people, and you can get to know each other a little bit. And is that question sort of clear? Maybe think about where the good that you need to amplify, and maybe the challenges where you might need help right now. Is that a good question? Yeah. So have a lovely time together.
How long are we?
Thank you.
How long are you saying?
I think we'll give maybe half an hour, just under. So maybe we'll come back at 22. Of course, if anybody needs to nip and get some water at the beginning of their session, or some of us are getting a little bit older as well.
I'll open the rooms.
So Rita put us all into rooms, and we'll come back again shortly. Excellent. How was that? And do we know what groups everybody's in? Because
Yes, you should be able to see. Do you want to stop recording while it just does nattering?
Okay, yeah, as long as you remind me to.
I can do.
So pause.
Right,
Okay, I've got it going now, so that's cool. So what I'm really interested with sitting in, I sat in one of the groups that was slightly smaller in numbers and a little bit of a fly on the wall. And what I really enjoyed was just the quality of the conversation. The focus now on amplification and the sort of thoughts that were coming up for people. So I just wondered, maybe in each of the groups we could maybe share anything that you took away from the group that you're in, and then we'll also maybe give some thoughts and feedback to Sabre and to Shay. But who'd like to share from their group what they experienced in a breakout room?
I just want to go hang out with John for a while. That's my takeaway. We hadn't met before, and I was very inspired by his sharing.
I echo Libby.
Thank you, Libby. That's so kind of you.
John's a very inspiring man, and John, out of one of these conversations, which I introduced John to come along and he join one of these sessions a few months ago, and as a consequence of that, he connected with Jean, and he just happened to be in America, and he just happened to be traveling across America, and he realized you were literally going past the end of Jean's road. So you'd literally been on this call for a month or two to call, and the next thing I know is I get a message to say I'm at Jean's, which I thought was
It was such a blessing, and since then Jean has been unbelievably helpful to me. His input has been incredibly valuable for me because of the work I do. I need a group of people supervising me who are much more experienced and much more knowledgeable. Otherwise, I can't do what I do. And Jean has been extraordinarily valuable. So I'm so grateful to have met. I've learned so much from him. I'm really, really blessed. So yeah, that's been amazing. So thank you so much, Chris, for the introduction. Thank you.
And Chris, I asked John if he's going to join the collective. We hadn't met him before. So like,
Yeah.
tell us about what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's thinking about it.
I think, Chris, I was saying that you're always just so kind and send me an invite, but I never know if I'm an outsider or kind of not. But you're always extraordinarily kind. And so I'm really grateful. I always get to learn so much from listening to people. Like today, it's been so interesting listening to what was kind of said earlier. And it's really fascinating that with something like racing driving, one of the things that is so beautiful to watch is that racing driving is so profound because you have to have a real good tolerance to kind of uncertainty and vulnerability. And to hear the two ladies talking about their love for it, and they're very acquainted with vulnerability. You can't be a racing driver, you can't compete, you can't drive unless you understand that relationship with kind of vulnerability. And that's kind of really rare and really inspiring for me to hear.
And John, this is why I like you on these calls, and I find you, I think, maybe see even more in you than you see in yourself, which you bring a lot of wisdom to these conversations. So, yeah, thank you.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else got anything they'd like to share? How about because of that? What's the reflection from anyone who's maybe not met us before? How have you perceived maybe Zoe or Naomi? How have you Sabre? Have you perceived this experience of being with these?
Well, for me, just the real joy of listening to, I suspect all of you, but certainly with the speakers we've had and the Spoke Out group that I was in, how you give so much of yourselves to others, and the power of that, not just in your own success in whatever that looks like for you, but in how you've by doing that, how you fostered that for other people, and the power of that. And that for me, I always speak and feel from the heart, and that feels very heartfelt for me. So I'm quite moved, really, I think would be a nice way to say it. I feel quite moved by the people that I've heard and met today.
Thank you. Thank you.
One thing Chris is really, really, really good at it is in the curation of people with the group. He has his instinct and an uncanny ability to bring the right people together, and you might go like, well, how does that person fit? And then you get to meet them and know them, and absolutely they do fit. It's a remarkable skill that you've developed, Chris. I just want to honor that.
Yep. Oh, I'd like to reframe that and say, I think you're a soul sniffer.
That's perfect.
Love that.
A soul sniffer. Yeah.
I love that.
You should have that on your business card, Chris.
So it sounds better than a soul sniffer, which is what I translated.
I think that because you've done that, Chris, and because, and echoing what everyone else has said, everybody who's on the call, even if they're new to the call, you feel like you're with a bunch of old friends that you've known for years. Everyone's very open and very transparent with what they're saying. There's no egos in the room. There's no pretense. And that's what immediately you feel comfortable, which is quite impressive on the Zoom, to be fair, as well as, but I just think the authenticity, I know it's been mentioned already, and that, you feel like you're already meeting with a group that you've known for a very long time, even if you've only just come for the first time today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is I may have mentioned this before to some people, but there is, there's been not a cheekiness in me, but I don't know if you find maybe in terms of your local community, but if Jane Gunn was here, she would sort of share it. But I certainly find that there are people in my local community, and I'll go out. We've got some local friends, and they'll talk at you, and they'll tell you about what's going on in their world and the big things they're doing at work. But some of those people haven't got a clue about what I do, or are curious or interested. And I think what I've realized that I've done with the collective is brought together people I'd really like to be friends with, people who are wise but are also heart-led, and have a high integrity, and care about contributing to something bigger than themselves. So I'm very careful about who can come into this community, and that will be the case in this sort of echelon of people, because every one of you here deserves fully to be here, because you are of good heart and good nature, and have a good soul, as Zoe might have led me to earlier. So and we're expanding, and you have to reach across continents to find this. It's not all prevalent in your backyard.
You know what? It's funny, John and Chris. I was born in Nottingham. I still go to Nottingham quite a lot because I have family in Nottingham. So 3 of us, Nottingham.
Well, an opportunity there.
Well, you're most welcome to drop in anytime, Zoe.
Yeah. So any reflections from the conversation with Sabre and with Shay? Is there any takeouts for you, maybe about collaboration? Because that's going to be important for us going forward. Anything?
One thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Jean, I think heard first, I think.
I just want to say to you, Shay, I think that you and Sabre communicate the very essence of the products that you produce.
Yep.
There is such a smoothness, there's such a ease, and you have to believe that your products have got to be nourishing the body, because the way you communicate nourishes the soul.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment. I appreciate that. It's amazing. Thank you, Jean.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I saw Wendy's hand.
Oh, I was just going to say, now you guys have inspired me, and I'm just going to go down the street, and any young person I see, I'm going to say, stop, do you want to be a literary agent? I can help you. And that's going to work for them.
You might have to be careful in the delivery as you're going out to find them.
Thanks for that, Sabre. Thank you.
Capture children, be like, I'm going to teach you everything now.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're both absolutely wonderful. I mean, all of you, obviously, but if we're talking about Shay and Sabre now, and I think what you remind us all about is that in every relationship we have, in every meeting we have, there is something to learn. There's something to take away from that. It's not that whole sort of, oh yeah, we grow older and we're so wise and we're sort of shutting all of that down. Or it's that whole idea of wherever we're at in life, there is always more to be surprised by, to be inspired by, to learn from. And I think both of you sort of emanate that so much that you see the value in not just what you give, but what you get.
Thank you. Awesome.
Wow, brilliant. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I fashioned, based on Harvard research, the 10 habits of highly effective white allies, and the second habit is sponsor talented protégés, and that's particularly pertinent for white people working with people who aren't white and aren't of the same colour, but actually, I think what we've seen tonight, Shay and Sabre, have really exemplified the importance of sponsoring talented protégés. And if you can find that, then the relationship is as strong as the one we've witnessed tonight. It's the protégé bit that you've really got to find, and that's the challenge: is to find the right people, what your own skill set is, and then really gift that to other people, and particularly the young people who will gift you back their youth. And that's the truly amazing part of this. Thank you.
I'm glad you spoke, Barnaby, because I was about to pick on you actually. So, but
Yeah, Fatin.
I had the privilege of a day working with Barnaby last week, and I would say it will go down to me in history with the evolution of the collective. We had a brilliant day together. It was fun, but Barnaby has an amazing way of helping you to see what's important and to think about the future. And he's also in terms of getting things done quickly. He's your man. So thank you. I'm looking forward to next week. We're going to move this forward quickly. So any final thoughts from anybody else before I wrap up and say?
Chris, a very quick commercial but I mean, Shay and Sabre, it was fantastic to listen to you, and I had the privilege of meeting Shay in person in the UK at our collective gathering last autumn. And Shay, in a great spirit of kindness, because she's just that sort of person, sent my daughter, who, for those of you who don't know, lives and works in the US, some fantastic Privé products. And Gemma, she works for the BBC. She does lots of stuff which is really important, that she's always looking her best. And so she's very fussy about this kind of thing. She said, Dad, this stuff was amazing. She went to her local Trader Joe's and a lady stopped her and said, how do you get your hair to look like that? So that's it. Privé is the official product of the BBC based in the United States. And Shay, it was a privilege to meet you and fantastic to meet Sabre. You've inspired me yet again.
This always amazes me how we've got a connection between us for, to make things happen if we want to, and it's amazing who the degrees of separation here, who we all collectively know, and that's what I'm kind of excited to think about how we can move that forward. Somebody who's been very quiet there, Judy. Judy is is a little bit of an icon within the collective, because Judy was one of our most famous publishers over here. Now runs the Conscious Cafe, which is lots of circles across the globe doing lots of conscious thinking. But I thought I'd share that because you've been sat there quite quietly today. But not got a sound on, but we
I wasn't so quiet in the group.
When you so a couple of things. Sorry, carry on.
I just wanted to say to Sabre and Shay and everyone on this call, Sabre and Shay, how inspiring, total girl power. And what I love about the men on this call is they support that. And you made me think about my driving experience. When I was 17 years old, I drove a truck in Glasgow in the 70s, which was utterly unheard of in the 1970s in Glasgow for a woman to drive a truck. And the man that supported me to do that was my dad. And I think of the guys on the call being like my dad in the respect that they support no matter gender, age, background, ethnicity. So here's to girl power and people power and a beautiful and inspiring evening, driving for success.
Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And you make such a point here. We're all one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who we are. Whether we're black, white, tall, short,
Yep.
LGBT, whatever we are. We're all one. We're all human. We're all humanity, part of humanity, and we are. There is no discrimination here. We are together as one.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when there's more women on the call than there were men. I was like, oh.
Yeah, we quite a lot of men too join us, but yeah, tonight we've got quite a few.
And I want to say, Chris, thank you. I mean, it's obviously because of you and inviting Sabre and I to come to share our wonderful partnership and our story, which is just so. I'm so grateful. It was so great to share it with everybody in this wonderful group of humans. So thank you for that.
Well, it's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it so well. And I did really enjoy it when we got together that first time with the interview, and I knew there was something special between you. So thank you for both of you for your time, and it's going to be exciting what we can all go on to do together. There's a few of us. Molly's not here now. She's struggling with the cable in Kenya, but there's a few of us are Elizabeth now and Hillary and going out to. I'm taking my son, and Rachel's not here. Is taking a couple of her children. Tessa as well is not here. We're going out to Kenya in May. There's probably still a space or two if anybody wants to join us. We're also working on right now an exciting annual event in outside of Philadelphia, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to share more. I've got Mike Mooney working on this at the moment, and Wendy and we've been chatting. We're meeting again in a couple of weeks, but I'm really excited about what hopefully we can make happen for September. But I'll share more next time. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag until I know we can actually make this happen. But going to be exciting to get together. Good luck in Neil in Tasmania next week.
Yeah, go Neil.
Thank you, Chris.
You're very, very, very welcome. Neil, how many expeditions have you led now?
Oh, it's got to be over 50. Can I just say the two ladies, very impressive humans, and it seems to me marriage made in heaven. Opportunity leads to success, and I would just like to say that Sabre, if you're not already mentoring people younger than you should be. You're an inspiration, both of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Neil's one of our most experienced adventurers from the UK. Neil has led exhibitions all over the world, and even took guided his mate Bear Grylls up to the summit on Everest. Is one of the many adventures, including roadworthy flying car, first one, and Neil is quite a tour de force and a very successful entrepreneur as well.
Thank you, Chris. Can I just say, I was just reflecting that project, crossing the Sahara Desert, etc., 10,000 kilometer journey in a flying car. The project was saved by a successful female entrepreneur who bailed me out. So, as I think Hillary said, girl power, come on.
I want to see the flying car. That's interesting.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it doesn't go as fast as your Porsche, though.
I mean, my Porsche doesn't fly though, so.
No.
Oh, I'm sure Neil can make that happen. I would imagine.
Neil, are you actually coming to Sydney by any chance?
Sorry?
Are you coming to Sydney by any chance?
I'm flying into Melbourne Tuesday next week, and then going on.
I'll be leaving Melbourne.
Actually, I touched down in Sydney on the 21st of February, but I'll be in the airport. It's a transfer.
I'll be in Bali then. Shane, I'm sure we'll cross paths.
Great opportunity.
Well, I just want a quick shout out to Barnaby if he's still around. Look what I found in a box of old
Oh, wow.
But Barnaby loves ska music, and once upon a time even featured in a Madness musical, didn't you? You were.
I did, yes. I accidentally got a starring part in a musical. It was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I rehearsed for 6 months, did 3 nights. I was the evil property baron, and many other parts. I have a thing I do every year. I do something I've never done before, and that year it was being a musical. But I actually, because of my age, ended up getting a major part, which was an accident. But great fun.
Excellent. Hey,
on that album.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed.
It was amazing,
and really excited. The next event of this kind is the 6th of May, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. But watch this space. We're going to evolve this agenda, and we're going to do special things together. So thank you all tonight. Wish you all continued success with everything that you're doing. And Sabre and Shay, once again, many thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
It feels a shame to say goodbye because I've enjoyed it so much this evening. But thank you. Take care all, and let's go amplifying good.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks,
everybody.
Bye. Take care. Bye.